what's up guys, I'm Grandmaster Shaymin and welcome back to Flower Paradise, and today we have another exciting episode of our Robotics Notes Elite playthrough. And if you guys are hyped, make sure you guys hit that like button down below for me, because you already know your support's greatly appreciated, as well as subscribing to the channel for future content. Well, in the last episode we got through the preliminary round of the tournament, and now it says the grand final, so I assume we just skipped the first 3 rounds and moved on to the big championship versus Subaru. Alright. Let's get it going.
まずは青コーナーより中央種子島高校ロボ部種子島新3回入場
The finals ring sits in the center of the arena, illuminated by spotlights. It's extremely hard to miss. We walked across the elevated passageway and toward the ring. I can hear the cheers coming from the bleachers loud and clear despite the size of the arena. It's amazing that there's so many people willing to cheer for some no-name high schoolers. Or maybe they're cheering because they like Misane. Whatever the case may be, I can feel my heart racing in response to their cheers. Somehow, we managed to win our way into the grand finals. Yet, I'm not really sure how I feel. If I'm being perfectly honest for once, I'm pretty hyped up. The amount of attention you get on a stage like this is unlike any other. The crowd's hype is infectious. But on the other hand, the time bomb inside my heart is like a tiny bone stuck in the back of my throat. It's a real pain in the ass. And so I'm conflicted. I'm hoping that I won't have an attack because I haven't got one this far. I've gone this far without one. And I'm dreading the fact that I might have one in the middle of my match.
瀬宮岬の遺伝子を背負い海を越えて遠く種子島の風を運んできた中央種子島高校ロボット研究部
See, that just feels weird. Does it not? Like, that's like people introducing Archie, or what's his name? Is it not Archie? The third Manning brother or whatever. The Manning kid that is in college right now. That's supposedly like he's the sibling of or related to Peyton and Eli Manning. And that's like saying the successor to Peyton and Eli's legacy. This dude is coming out onto the field. Like, sure, like, people will probably mention it, but they're not going to mention it, like, every single moment of the day. Like,
その
my
画
god.
期的操作システムとオペレーターヤシオカイトの玄人然とした冷静な操縦でついに決勝まで上り詰めてきたぞ果たして9年前の栄光を再現できるのか
なんか照れるねお姉ちゃんの人気すごいな
Yeah, I can sense the loneliness in her words, but I decide not to think too deeply about that right now. I want to avoid any unnecessary drama before the match.
続いて赤コーナーよりロボワン39ロボワン40チャンピオンミスタープレアデスと M45 入場
As if summoned by the announcer, he appears in the spotlight of red on the opposite passageway. He's wearing a mask and an absurd outfit, calmly waving to the crowd.
ロボワンに現れた彗星すべてを吸い込む恐るべき舞その悪魔の手から逃れられたものはなしその正体は未だ謎だがしかしその強さはもはや誰もが知っているさあ、ミスタープレアです。今日もお前の400光年の輝きを見せてくれ
So weird. Mr. Pleiades slowly makes his way to the other side of the ring.
アルシオーネ、エレクトラ、マイヤ、タイゲタ、ケラエノ、アステローペ、メロペ
AEMTCAM? Amtecom? Or is he just saying words? He's starting to mutter to himself. It's kind of a mind control. Should I be covering my ears right now?
真の女神の祝福により、我400光年の彼方よりここに降臨。
I don't understand how he doesn't like.
I am.
I don't understand how he doesn't like he got to choose his own like persona. Why did he have to make it so weird? Like, I mean, this is like, you know, wrestling personas, right? But like most of the people who have ridiculous, like, crazy-ass things don't take themselves seriously. Like, look at this dude. He's taking himself seriously while staring in that outfit with, like, a actual sword on his hip.
Mr. Pleiades!
Uh-huh. Okay. Is that like, the champ is here? Ba-ba-da-ba. But John Cena's, not exactly looking like a clown. Like, look at his cape. His cape doesn't even, like, it's like a half cape. It doesn't even go down to his waist. What even is that? What is that gross looking thing attached to your back? What? That's not even a cape. All the spectators are doing it with him, so I guess it's fine, but still. I remember that the insider is probably Hidaka-kun. My soul aches. Yeah.
本物のミスタープレアでした。後でサインもらいに行こうかな。
It's
そのサインってタブオクに出したら売れるか？
ミッチ最低。
っていうかさ。
Are these two pretending not to notice? Is this some kind of prank? I'm gonna get real pissed if they're messing with me just before the finals. I call out to Mr. Pleiades.
君、日高くんでしょ？
カイ、まだそんなこと言ってるの？
That reaction was so
い
genuine
や、
though.
だってどう見ても日高くんだし。昨日は画像だけだったから確信なかったけど、これだけ近くで見たら間違いないよ。ねえ、日高くん。日高？日高ってうちの学校の2年の日高か？そう。
No shit.
ミッチーならわかるよね。
This is like that Superman shit where like dude puts on the mask and I have no idea. It could be anybody. Mitchie squints his eyes and he gazes carefully at Pleiades. Guess not. He eventually turns and starts laughing at me.
日高がこんなところにいるわけないだろうに。アホだな、ヤシオは。
That's the exact same way that Akio reacted yesterday. Am I being punked? But
カ
why?
イ、もしかして緊張しすぎでテンパってる？わかるよ。うちもさっきから手がすごく震えてる
I feel like it would have been better for them just to all notice.
もん。でもお願い、落ち着いて。ね。飴、もう一個持ってくればよかったね。
For some reason, Akio's pitying
カイ
me.
にいいこと教えてあげる。顔に仮面をつけてる人は高貴な身分の人しかいないんだよ。
Are they? Is Deadpool classy? I don't know if I'd consider Deadpool classy. All folks who wear masks, huh? Classy? I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't. Was Juan Cena really classy? I don't know. What in the world is this jobber saying? Oh, now she's getting pinned for the, to put over the somebody. I don't know who the dude pinning the jobber is, but
いいから試合に集中した方がいいぞ、ヤシオ。受験と同じだ。これ豆知識な。
what in the world is this crappy advisor talking about? I'm just about done with all of this. Me too.
ねえ
to be
ねえ、
honest.
日高くん。プレアデスだかなんだか知らないけどさ、そんなくだらない格好してないで、ちょっとそのマスク取ってみてくれない？
おーっと中央種子島高校ロボ部がなんとチャンピオン相手に挑発だ。これはチャンピオン切れていいぞ。
私は日高などではない。ミスタープレアデスだ。
He even did the glasses thing. You can't sit here and tell me. Okay. I can totally tell that he's a little embarrassed. He's really pushing it. This whole thing's like the school play quality.
こんな茶番に付き合えって？アキちゃんやミッチーも俺のこと騙してるの？
騙す？
No, she's not. Akio's a horrible liar, which means she seriously doesn't notice.
まあ別に何でもいいんだけど。たださ、島での日高くんとは随分キャラ違わない？
何のことかわからない。
Uh-huh. Doesn't look like I'm getting through to him. I understand. I don't want my focus broken by something this dumb either. If that's how he wants to do things, fine. Be my
よっしゃ、
guest.
準備して。
All right. Akio places the honorary prez in the ring and turns its power on. Pleiades' robot M45 isn't much larger than Prez. It's also a lightweight model. How is that thing lightweight? The thing's plump, which means it's going to rely largely on grabbing and throwing. I watched his matches in the semi-finals, so I'm more than aware of his strategy. Its thin arms are thin arms. Guys, do you see those? Like, is this like? He said it's the same size as Taniguchi machine. He's got giant cannons attached to his arms. How is his arms thin? What is your definition of thin, mate? Like, those things are plumper than the fucking first guys. Oh my god. Sometimes, man. As soon as I get in range, they'll get me. Once that happens, Prez gets tossed. Despite being lightweight, I've seen it throw around heavyweight robots without breaking a sweat. Well, maybe because it's got giant cannons attached to its wrist. Okay. I've also gotten a good handle on Pleiades' strategy after watching him in the semi-finals. His style is definitely more proficient than other operators. Thus far, he's consistently waited for his opponent to strike, then countered whenever he had the opportunity. To get too close and you'll get sucked in and taken for a ride. The problem is that I can't attack unless I get close. In terms of functionality, Prez is at a disadvantage, as usual. I'll start things off by watching him carefully. Akio gently places her hand on top of mine, the one holding the phone droid.
きっと大丈夫。
She says it like she's comforting a child. Aren't I supposed to be the guardian here?
アキちゃんに言われても信憑性に欠けるな。
I mean, he did say that they're both taking care of each other, so I mean, if that's the case, then they're both each other's guardian, so I guess it makes sense, right? I mean, that's why you could totally, like, tell that they like each other.
よかった。
Let's be real.
変な緊張はもう解けたみたいで。
I didn't say that Mr. Pleiades' true identity is Subaru Hidaka because of nerves. I'm not letting this
太陽の
go.
おかげでここまで来られた。だからあともう一回だけ勝っちゃおう。
Her completely baseless optimism is what makes Akio who she
そ
is.
したらもういらない部活扱いされることもなくなるはずだから。
I mean, to be fair, they shouldn't be treated like some crappy old club even if they come in second to a guy who's back-to-back champ. Like, that's like losing to Alabama in the finals of the playoff. Like, that doesn't mean you're a crappy football team. Like, come on.
勝とうね。カイ、勝って胸を張って島に帰ろう。
ありがたいお言葉どうも部長さん。ま、せいぜい頑張ってみるよ。
But these are just words of consolation. Akio's encouragement doesn't resonate with me. Looks like I'm really gonna have to compete in the finals with this ticking time bomb still active. I take a deep breath and clutch my phone droid tightly. The finals are here.
それでは優勝決定戦を始めます。青、種子島新3回。赤、M45。レディー、ファイト。
As soon as the round begins, I have the Prez crab walk without getting too close to M45 while I watch it carefully. Meanwhile, M45 immediately advances to the center of the ring, stops and tries to confront the Prez head on.
さあ M45 はあえてリングの真ん中に陣取った種子島新の攻撃を誘っているぞ。
It's pretty obvious what he's trying to do. He wants to grab me as soon as I get in range, right? So he's turtling. If this was a fighting game, he'd totally be getting ravaged by the crowd right now. But either way, this is a pain. I don't have too many options here. M45 spread its arms out like it's trying to taunt me even more. Jesus, they're long. M45's arm length is even more apparent when it stretches out like that. Its arm span is probably longer than its height. Plus, judging by how bulky they are, Pleiades probably loaded them up with all sorts of gimmicks. But didn't he just say they were thin earlier? So now he's making note that they're not thin. Just thinking about them puts a huge amount of strain on me mentally, an extraordinary amount of pressure. With M45's long arms spread out in this narrow ring, I have nowhere to go. I can jump out of the ring or I can enter its range. Either way, I'm on one way trip to hell. It's clearly a good grasp of how to zone out an opponent. Not bad, Hidaka-kun, or Pleiades. However, M45 has one glaring flaw. It's slow. Going by its walking speed, it's super slow for a lightweight robot. Heck, it might be even as slow as a devil stronger.
アキちゃん、なんで向こうのロボってあんなにもっさりしてると思う？
サーボモータの設定かな。スピードよりトルク重視なんだよ。
トルク？
Probably.
パワーがあるっ
I
て
mean,
こ
that would
と。
make sense. Yeah, it makes sense for a robot that primarily utilizes throws. The referee motions for us to be more proactive, but M45 barely moves a muscle. It just stands in the center, following my movements in a circular motion, except it's not keeping up. It's way too slow. I might be able to circle around the back pretty easily. YOLO, I'll give it a shot. Before the opponent can change directions, I manage to circle around to its blind spot. Perfect timing. I talk about an easy cross-up. I'm pretty much free to do whatever I want. I could throw him, I could... I hear Pleiades snicker. He's way too calm for someone completely vulnerable. What's going on? Is this a trap? I try to put some distance between us as I smell something fishy. That's when M45 makes its strange move. With its hip joint as its axis, the upper body spins 180 degrees. I let my guard down because the robot looks human, but these aren't human legs, they're decided to do inhuman things. I'm totally backed into a corner. M45's bulky arms draw near. At this rate, I'm gonna get grabbed. Okay. Easy clap. I instinctively dish out some punches with both arms in order to deflect M45's grabs. The moment I see him staggered, I put some distance between us. But before I could do anything, M45 grabs onto me like he's going to fall on top. Crap. By the time I realize what's happened, he's on top of me like some kind of wrestler.
Down!
Down! いきなり M45 がダウンを一つ奪った。これが M45 とミスタープレアデスの強さだ。
I'm just saying, it's to me this part is like he just fell on top of him. Like that's not true power. That's not impressive by any stretch of the imagination. Dude just did a hip joint turn and then fell on top of him because he couldn't beat him otherwise. That's like those takedowns at the beginning of wrestling matches where they like grab the dude's head and they like hold him onto the floor and the crowd claps for him to get back up. Like, it's not really that impressive.
視覚ゼロの全方位迎撃。一度前に入った獲物は決して逃さないのだ。さあ、早くも種子マシン絶対絶命。
I mean, doesn't it have to win 2 more times? I don't know if that counts as its last legs. This commentator is really starting to piss me off. Me too, honestly. His voice echoes so loudly it's hurting my ears.
いいか、ヤシオ。先生が平常。
ミッチー黙っててくんない？
Yeah, seriously, shut up, man.
何を？
でもカイ、これじゃ近づけないよ。
I ever so slightly shrug my shoulders as I use my phone droid to stand the press back up.
まあ、やりようはあるよ。リスキーではあるけどね。
If he doesn't have any blind spots, then this is the only
どう
way.
するの？
掴む暇を与えない。
種子マシン3回。ワンダウンで試合再開します。
The referee announces the match continuation. If that thing has no blind spots, then that means it doesn't matter what direction I attack from. I'll just take him on, full frontal. Keep in mind, this isn't some suicide attack. The key to everything, once again, is M45's slow movement speed. Basically, my plan is to attack several times before I can get grabbed. While it seems similar, this isn't a hit and run. Once I attack, I'm staying in until M45 is down. This is gonna be an all-or-nothing game of chicken. Time to begin my approach.
さあ、種子マシンいきなり正面からバカ正直に突進した。これは投げてくださいと言っているようなもんだぞ。危ない。
The patient M45 attempts to grab the prez. Slow, so slow I might be able to slip away. Without a second thought, I charge in without stopping. Why didn't it register my first one? Come on, mate.
頑張るラッシュラッシュ頑張るブロー。
ダウン。
なんだ今のは。 種子マシンの流れるような連続攻撃。今のは本当にホビーロボットの動きなのか？一気に 4,5 回の攻撃を M45 に食らわせたぞ。掴む時間すら与えなかった。まさに電光石火。
Akio pumps her fist into the air. Come on, I got one down, that's it. Take it down a notch, please. My strat worked, but I doubt Hidaka or Pleiades will fall for it twice. He's gonna counter it next time for sure. I can't let my guard down just yet. I'm trying to focus yet again. My anxiety is still more than present. The reason being that the time bomb inside of me, obviously. I can't predict when I'll get an attack, or if it'll happen without warning. Oh, how nice it'd be if I could sense it coming. The only thing I know for certain is that it's more likely to have one when I'm sick, under stress, or emotional. But I can only speak from experience. I have no idea if those things really have any relation or not. In less than 10 minutes, this match will come to an end. I hope I can hold out until then.
M45 ワンダウン種子マシン3回ワンダウンで試合再開ファイト
Fight. Should I wait and see, or should I try and ride this wave of momentum? I'm starting to think the former is the right move here. Hidaka, or Pleiades, seems oddly calm. It's too risky to go in without a plan. I should wait for him to make a... Okay. I immediately take evasive action. A lightning-fast, piercing strike just barely graces the Prez.
何あれ
Well, he has the giant guns on it. I should be out of range. Hell, I'm so far that you wouldn't be able to consider this close to being in range. Pleiades used a high-speed piercing attack from that distance. Another one? This time I failed to dodge the attack. The Prez takes the hit dead on and goes flying out of the ring. Yeah, I mean, you could see that one coming.
なんと M45 がまたしても隠し玉を出してきた。
I thought your reaction time was top tier, mate. What happened to that?
どんなロボットもちぎって投げられる2本の腕にさらにビリヤードの球のようなギミックが隠されていたとは。
Who would have guessed? I have no idea how you would possibly know. It doesn't make any sense. How could he possibly have these giant fucking things attached to his arm? Okay.
いやはや恐れ入ったぜ。さすがミスタープレアです。これが2タイムスチャンピオンの実力だ。
ビリヤードの球っていうよりあれパイルバンカーだよ。
M45 shot what looked like a spike out of the tip of its arm. This long-range attack far exceeded M45's throw range. That's how he knocked down Prez out of the ring. But where did that range even come from? That spike was fired from an insane distance, especially when you consider M45's design. There's no way it reached me from that far away, but it
杭
did.
の射出だけじゃないな。腰もひねってほんの数センチだけど距離を稼いでるのか。
M45 can rotate its upper body 180 degrees. If it stops at 90 degree point, M45 gains an additional shoulder width worth of distance. It's only a few centimeters, but that goes a long way. The more skilled the opponent, the more effective the move. It's key that M45 to bait its prey into entering its range. It prompts the prey and then tries to strike from the outside. The closer the opponent is to M45's range, the more effective those close centimeters become. If the opponent eventually lowers their guard thinking they're out of range, they become an easy prey for the pile bunker.
ふざけた飛び道具を隠し持ってるじゃないの。
There was no point to my wait and see approach. I knew he'd end up adapting to my strategy. Or maybe he came prepared, expecting his opponent to use a strategy like mine. This hidden weapon completely makes up for M45's lack of
日
speed.
高昴が実は結構すごい男だっていうのをようやく。
プレアデスだ。
プレアですね。
Whatever, man. Akio rushes the honorary Prez back into the ring. Meanwhile, I wipe the sweat off my cheek. Is it just the heat from the lights above, or is the hype from the audience? Or maybe I'm finally feeling backed into a corner and getting nervous. It feels like I've hit a dead end. I'm not going to be able to avoid that pile bunker so easily. How many times can this thing strike consecutively? It has a huge attack range, but not many openings. My reaction speed is good enough to easily deal with it, but the Prez isn't fast enough to evade that pile bunker. If I use up 8 frames on reacting and command input, I'll never make it in time. I need to have finished the command input in 1 or 2 frames in order for the Prez to have time to dodge. I guess I could also predict the move beforehand, but reading your opponent like that is a huge gamble. Even if you manage to evade him once, there's no guarantee you'll be able to do it a second time.
M45 1ダウン、種菓子マシン3回2ダウン。次種菓子マシン3回がダウンすると3ノックダウンで負けになります。
What can the Prez and I do? What options do we have to get close while avoiding the pile bunker?
ファイ！
There's no time to think. The match resumes. If I stall for too long, the pile bunker will come flying. I'll just have to play footsies until I have the opportunity to close the gap. I control the Prez with those thoughts at the front of my mind. Just then, I'm hit with a feeling of discomfort. The controller response is slow. No, it's the
って
opposite.
いうか動きがおかしい。
左足さっき落ちた衝撃で関節が詰まっちゃったんだ。
The Prez's left leg is behaving abnormally. Its walk speed is down, and its movement is wobbly. Now, of all times, why didn't Akio check the Prez when she stood him up in the ring earlier? There's no different than just standing still. It's like I'm asking him to shoot me with a pile
本
bunker.
当に
Just then, Mr. Pleiades murmurs something. His voice is so low that the audience can't hear it, but I can, perfectly clearly.
がっかりですよ先輩。
He noticed the malfunction on our end, and M45 immediately begins twisting its body, aiming its pile bunker at Prez. I'm not going to be able to dodge this, it's over. But oddly enough, out of the 2 days I spent with Hera and Robo 1, right now, I'm the most hyped I've ever been. It's at this very moment. See, he probably has the opposite, right? If I remember correctly. Time slows down. My heart begins to throb in pain, as if I'm being squeezed by an ice-cold hand. Simultaneously, everything around me begins to move in slow motion. All the sound in the world has vanished. My senses are sharpened considerably. I'm having an attack. What a pain in the ass. Alright, I hate to admit it, but I'm actually pretty lucky that it picked now of all times to blow up on me. My mind is clear. It's cold, my body temperature is dropping at an alarming rate. It feels as though my blood has gone from boiling hot to ice cold. My body feels strangely heavy. It's almost like I've dived into the ocean. The air feels thick and vicious. Amidst this calmness, there's only silence and breathlessness. I can't breathe. This is why it feels like I'm submerged in water. I'm swimming through the soundless world without breathing. This moment feels eternal. I can flow through this slow-motion world, all the while experiencing the same pain and suffocating. Due to the invisible opposing force, I too can only move in slow motion. Slow-mo. That's what I call my attacks. I know, super original, right? It's the exact opposite of Akiho's attacks. Her FF allows her to see time compressed, whereas my slow-mo allows me to see time expanded. See, slow-mo would be way more useful than FF. And the problem is FF would be like there, it would take literally a second for you, but 5 minutes go on in the rest of the world. Like, you lose 4 minutes and 59 seconds of time. But in this, you gain time. Your body doesn't, obviously, both cases, your body's in this case it's ice cold, and her body completely shuts down because you can't move it that fast. You basically can't move it at all, because for you 1 second is enough time. So by the time you think, so if I'm moving like this, my body can potentially, it might not have the energy to, but by the time you think about doing that, it's already over. The whole thing is already over. Well, as for him, he's thinking about doing that. His body might not be going super fast, but he knows what he needs to do. So in this case, he can analyze it and give it more time. But of course, he potentially could pass out or something. But I feel like this is just so much better than any of the other attacks, that you could have. I see 1 second of time stretched out to about 30 seconds, apparently. It's considered a sort of elephant mouse syndrome, but even the doc that diagnosed it wasn't sure how it worked. The reason why everything is moving in slow motion right now is simply because my senses have been acutely sharpened. The real world itself hasn't actually changed. A second is still a second, but within that single second I can process 30 seconds worth of thoughts and reactions. For example, it takes me 0 frames to do what used to take me 4. I can even input a full command in 1 frame. The pile bunker that M45 just fired looked like it's frozen in space. If I confirm its trajectory, I can cover for my disadvantage just fine. In my current condition, I can easily evade, but I can't breathe. It feels like I'm hanging on to life by a thread. I desperately try to supply oxygen in my lungs, but my body won't respond the way I want it to. Deep within my heart, I continue to pray for release from this pain. I've locked onto my target. There's still distance between us. I won't be able to cover it during slow-mo. My surroundings aren't frozen, but I do have one way available to me, a way to close the distance more speedily than the walk forward normally. I grind my teeth in pain. No matter how hard it is, I can only move at the same speed as the rest of the world. I put every ounce of energy I have into this. I demand for my fingers to react. Then, after a short delay, my fingers around my phone droid start to move. There's an actual delay between mine and my body, but there's nothing I can do about it. The tip of the pile bunker draws ever closer to the press, but I've already inputted the command to dodge it. The honorary Prez steps to the side, and the pile bunker grazes the surface of Prez's arm. I've barely managed to evade M45's attack, but it's already in position to fire again. The first shot was from its left arm, the second shot comes from the right. Does this mean it can only fire 2 consecutive shots? The aim is spot on. M45 locks onto the Prez after it dodged the first shot. Boom, here comes shot number 2. The spike once again moves very slowly, which allows me time to dodge it handily. Since it can only fire in straight line, there's nothing to fear as long as it's off by a few tenths of a millimeter. I just barely dodged the second spike and faced the defenseless M45 straight on. The distance between us has barely changed. M45 is still far, far away. There's no way I'll be able to punch him from this distance.
奇襲技に近いからここぞっていうところでしか使っちゃダメだよ。
I never expected Akio's lame idea to be useful at a time like this. It almost feels like fate. I can't say I'm a fan. Time to end this. GG, easy. As soon as I finish inputting the command, the arena is flooded with sounds. The flow of time returns to normal. The thick texture of the air vanishes. I can finally breathe again, freeing me of the suffering from earlier. The honorary Prez has already completed its transformation. It's sitting on the floor with its legs stretched out. The motor of the wheels attached to the bottom begin to spin, and he's off. The Prez performs a high-speed sliding tackle on M45. Both robots are sent flying out of the ring, tangled up with one another. The lousy motors go silent. Silence. The entire arena is engulfed in silence. For a second, it almost feels like my attack isn't finished. I take a deep breath and look around. There's an explosion of sound. Roars erupt from the spectator seats as the whole arena is thrown into a tizzy.
大技が決まった。神業レベルの超反応、連続で繰り出された超高速のロケットパンチをなんとどちらも紙一重でかわしやがった。そして種子島のど根性、血を這うように変形してからの超加速突進攻撃炸裂。
種子シアクセルインパクトです。
OK、瀬宮美咲の妹、今の最高にバーニングなフィニッシュ技は種子アクセルインパクト。
It finally dawns on me that all these cheers are for me. It's almost like my attack is being celebrated. I make sure no one hears me as I click my tongue. So now we're Misa. The crowd's excitement has peaked. The audience is shouting and stopping to express their excitement over the thrilling Grand Finals match. The earth-shaking fervor of the crowd is directly at the two at the center of the arena, Mr. Pleiades and Kaito Yashio.
なかなか面白い動きをするな。
I think this is a good place to end this episode off. I hope you guys are excited. I hope you guys make sure you hit that like button and subscribe and all of that good stuff. I hope you guys did enjoy it.